Hi, I'm Jennifer Lyons, and I am an allied health teacher at Umatilla High School. That means I teach in the CTE, or Career Technical Department, and I teach anatomy and physiology, the healthcare department, and I get my students certified to be medical administrative assistants.
Excellent. And I'm Chris Barnhart from Umatilla High School as well, which is in Lake County, which is about 1 hour north from where we're currently sitting. I teach digital design, so I teach students how to use Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign and get them Adobe certified. So we're so glad to be here with you.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Man.
So, are you guys presenting anything? Did you do any poster sessions? Or are you just here to suck up all the knowledge?
We're just here for the swag.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
There you go.
That's not entirely true. We
Yeah.
are not presenting, but we're here to soak up all of the amazing things that are happening and get ready to incorporate those things into our classroom.
Cool. Is this your first FETC?
This is my first FETC. This is Jennifer's
Second.
Second.
Awesome.
So
Yeah.
you did it last year also. That's cool. Okay, so get us in depth for our listeners. Go ahead.
No, that's where I'm going.
Awesome. The we were separated at birth.
Nice.
The
Intentionally.
resemblance. Is
so
clear.
give us a can you tell?
I can. It's right there. Yeah. It's good.
So give us a little for our listeners, a little more in depth about what you do in your class and the ed tech component of it.
Absolutely. In our school, we use a lot of Schoology, and that is a learning management platform that we like to use, and that has enabled us to really reach our students at all hours of the day and wherever they might be. When students go home over the winter break, or if they're out for a week on vacation, they are still signing in and working on things in both Mr. Barnhart and my classes, and we are working very hard to implement that throughout the entire school. Do you want to?
Well, to simplify everything, students are not cracking open textbooks and reading the way school used to be. It's changing on a daily, almost a minute-by-minute basis. So we're here to strengthen our. The force is strong in us,
tech cred.
and our tech cred. We are known at our school for being the people to lean on to learn the tech tools. So we're here to strengthen our knowledge and also see our vendors face to face, like Certiport and Schoology, which we keep saying. It's good to see those people face to face and talk about their product.
Yeah, I think that's one of the really cool things about the vendor exhibits at any conference, especially this one's large, is that they get to see your face, they get to put a face to a name. So when you tweet out to them and say, hey, we'd like to see this in this process, or we'd like to see that, that actually means something to them. And more and more. The thing we've learned about the vendors here is that they're getting the idea that we're going to use your platform, we're going to use your product, we're going to use your service. We need you to be more education centric.
Right.
And they're doing that.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that. We're seeing them go, what can we do for you? What do you want to do first? And then we'll sell you a product or a service.
Right.
And that's really
It helps
exciting.
them internalize the values of education.
Yeah, it's a lot like the certification, getting certification that finally they realized, hey, we can do this down in the high school level.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, let's get this going and let's make a certification for everything, from Microsoft to Adobe to you name it. Let's get them in the workforce if they want to go out to the workforce. And you probably see that a lot.
Absolutely, I do. My students have the certification to be medical administrative assistants. Many of the students that I have do intend to go on to nursing or to medical school, but I always tell them how valuable that initial certification can be, because you can earn as you learn, as they say. You can be working in a medical office, and then while you're studying for the next step, you can still be making money. So I absolutely agree that certification is a very valuable thing for our students.
And employers look for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's
right out
the
of the
ticket
out
that
of the
proves you know what you know.
Yeah.
I actually want to share something real quick. I met a person at an exhibit. Her company creates modules for classroom learning. Like, she's here to sell her product. Well, she uses Adobe InDesign to create those products. And when she found out that we're certifying 10th graders in InDesign, she said, do they need a job?
Right.
And she was serious about that. And I said, let's exchange information. So that's the beauty of this whole thing, is that we're teaching at a high school level things that people go to technical school for, or college even.
Right.
And the district and the state is providing this for the students.
Free. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
able to get their certifications for free while they're in high school.
Yeah.
So
That's
that
awesome.
is a wonderful experience for them, great on their resumes, but it also enables them to explore their
Yes.
interests as well. I certainly have students that are finishing my program who are not going to be working in healthcare.
Yeah.
So
you
that's
know,
absolutely true.
But they learn that pretty quickly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that I saved them the time and expense
Right. We
of
talk
finding
about
out that
a
that's
lot.
not for them.
Figuring out it's okay to fail.
Oh, absolutely. I love that. That was in the keynote today.
Yeah, and I'm from a generation that it wasn't okay to fail.
Yes.
Oh gosh, that failure, I've got to veer from it in every possible,
Right.
avenue.
We call that the growth mindset.
Yeah, exactly. And that's
That failure is how you grow.
Yeah, we talk about growth mindset a lot. That's one of our big deals. And
Right.
what's really interesting that's happening here though is we're getting back to the apprenticeship idea, and that's a real big deal for me. I started my career off as a professional musician and a band director, and so that's one of those things. And it's all about apprenticeship. It's about paying dues. It's about learning on the job. And actually, in this market, a student leaves with a CS degree, or they leave high school with this, and they go out to any employer, and that employer is actually going to probably train them on the job anyway. And there entails that, well, so you've done this, you took the time, you paid your dues, you got this premier certification. Come on board, we're going to train you some more, because it's definite that you know what you're doing and you take this seriously. And that's a really big deal. It's like the old days, college really is about, let me jump through your hoops, give me my golden ticket that says that I did all this,
Right.
and then I'll go out and do it.
Well, another thing that certification as well as degrees prove is that you know how to learn. So even if it's not the certification that you need for a job, showing that you have one or multiple certifications proves that you know how to go through that process, that you were able to learn something, and especially certifications are all about skill. They're not just about usually multiple choice tests.
Right.
And so showing that you were able to prove mastery of skills enough to be certified shows that you are that you could be an asset to the company, even if that's not specifically called, that certification's not called for.
Right. Right. Exactly.
To touch on what you were saying, one of the things that keeps, like, we're teachers, right? I just came out of the industry, so this is my first year teaching, but I just came out of the industry. Miss Lyons here is a nurse. She's an RN. So they've brought her out of the field into the classroom. What a great way to learn. Like, you've got somebody who's been there and done that. And every semester we meet with experts in our industry. I find people in the digital domain who go, and we go, hey, this is our curriculum. What do you need in industry? When I send a student to you from graduation, and they tell us, well, we need them not to only have their certification, we need them to be able to answer interview questions, situational interview questions. So we are teaching what they need. They're giving us that feedback loop.
And it keeps us current in the industry as
Yes, it
well,
does.
because there are trends in every industry. And so knowing what they are learning when they're out in the workplace that we need
Very
to
helpful.
prepare our students for.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I was not long ago was talking with a CEO of a company, and we were talking about skill sets and what students need and what they're looking for when they have students interviewing for positions in the organization. And he said, the real kicker is that whatever the hard skills are, he said, sometimes certification helps, but it wasn't that they had the certification, that piece of paper. It was what that piece of paper stood for. You have this Microsoft certification, and lots of people can get Microsoft certified, but that tells me, he's saying this, that he said, that tells me that, like you said, you went through the process. So, regardless, you went through the process and you finished the process. So that tells me that you are
showing.
willing and able to finish something that you start in order to get to a goal.
Yes,
But
it
the other
shows
thing
the
was that he
soft
said,
skills as well.
the soft skills, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Thanks, Craig.
He said, they used a particular language, programming language. And he said, for the most part, nobody knows what it is. He said, it's basically an internal, self-developed. And he said, so I'm going to have to teach you that language anyway. He said, so if you come to me and you don't know the language, I don't care about that. He said, my question is, can you work in a team? Can you collaborate?
Yes.
Can you answer the interview questions without sounding like, frankly, an idiot?
Correct.
Those are exactly the kinds of things that companies are looking for. It's those soft skills
Right.
that hopefully are part of the classes that help those students get those certifications, but those are the things that are not necessarily, frankly, testable. In a way,
Right.
you can assess
It can
those
be.
things.
In the academic classrooms, I think that they are trying very hard to incorporate a lot of the soft skills as well. But CTE, what we teach, is beautifully aligned to that.
Yeah.
I just had students down in the front office answering phones and putting people on hold and transferring them.
Yeah.
And students who can answer the question in class, how do you do a proper telephone greeting?
Yeah.
They're perfect. And then you put them on the phone and they freak out. So actually being the ability to translate the knowledge to the activity of actually answering a phone and not sounding like you have no idea what you're doing
Right.
is really
Did they
a
look
good
at the
practice
phone
for
and
them.
go,
Yes.
"What is that?
Yeah.
What is that
No.
contraption?"
Right, yeah.
No,
It has
there was
wires
a lot. There were a lot of
attached to it. What is
ums
this
and
thing?
likes and uhs and a
Yes.
lot of nervous laughter,
Yeah.
and then they
Yeah.
kind of figured it out, which was
Yeah.
awesome.
That's
Yeah.
great. That is awesome.
And it's,
So-
go ahead.
I'm sorry. It's your show, guys. It's your show.
Right.
No.
We love this.
great.
Anytime you guys are sitting in the chair, it's your show. We just help guide the show
Guide the
along.
show along.
Yeah, that's what we
but,
like to do. Yeah, we like to take what you're doing and try to run with it. That's the interesting part of what we do here is that we learn more sitting right here talking one-on-one about things that we've probably never learned about. Because
Right.
there's a lot of education out there. It's funny. We will throw out a name and people say, "I've never heard of them." Where on the West Coast, they're massive.
Right,
Or in the
right.
Midwest,
Right.
this is a huge name in education. We forget that there's over 3 million teachers in the country and 400 million people, and there's a lot of ideas we haven't pulled all together. So this is real exciting for us. We always leave every conference we do. We leave a conference going, how do we get all this put together?
Yeah.
If we took a list of everything that we've learned from growth mindset to play to gamification, to everything that we talk about, we'd probably go crazy. Actually,
What an exciting time to be alive.
It is.
Yeah.
But each district, each superintendent of each district in the country is going through a life cycle change. Maybe baby boomers are aging out of the superintendent's role.
We're seeing that.
And we're seeing millennials who have a whole different tech mindset, and they'll look at a district. Our district is in Lake County. It's a rural school district, so lots of agriculture and farming. So the fact that we have a digital design program in that community has shocked a lot of people.
Right.
But our school district says we need to prepare students for the modern workforce.
Right.
And if you can do something in digital arts or healthcare, they're relevant. So I think across the country, we're seeing school superintendents from different generations coming in with their own paradigms and trying to pull from all these technologies, because it can be overwhelming. I've seen 13 different technologies I can deploy tomorrow in my
Right.
classroom, but my students would pass out. We've got to drill down to what's
Right.
absolutely relevant for them.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. I think what's really interesting what's happening right now is we've talked to several educators at several conferences that they're in their 30th or their 35th year, and they've just become the technology integration specialist, or they've just moved into the makerspace lab. And see, when they started, the only thing you could do was be a teacher.
Right.
It was like
Right.
you were a principal, you were a superintendent, some administrator, or you were a teacher. And that was it. That was your life from then on, was the classroom. Well,
Right.
that's all changed.
Yes.
That's
Now
true.
it's where
That's true.
you guys came from the did you ever think I'll be teaching? Never thought it.
I never thought that.
I probably did. Yeah, I did.
You can tell the look on your face. You're
Yeah,
like, "Well, actually,
maybe, probably.
But there isn't it really interesting that but that's a great country we live in. It's a great world we live in. Where now that opportunity to just go, I'm going to go this way for a while. Yeah,
Right.
and it all ties in.
Well, one of the things that, and you kind of skimmed across chipped the rock across the surface, but you guys came from industry into education. So I'm curious, and forgive me if this was covered, I was dealing with something else on the side. But I'm curious, the things that you experienced and dealt with, and the things that you learned as you went into your private industry occupation compared to what you are now teaching the students, is there a huge gap between what's being taught versus what happens in the real world.
Absolutely, yes. I've actually always said, Mr. Barnhart mentioned that I am a nurse, I'm an RN.
Right.
If I had had the program that I now teach when I was in high school, I wouldn't be here now because I never would have gone into healthcare. Because I would have done the things that I do with my students. I'd gone to the hospital and done job shadowing and realized that bedside nursing was not something that I was going to be passionate about.
Sure.
But thankfully, at least in my case, I didn't know that when I went into it, and that led me to be here,
Right.
which has enabled me now to teach my students. And one of the things that I always teach them, of course, as myself, but I am an example, is that you don't have to do bedside if you go into healthcare.
Wow.
And so I think I just get so excited getting to take my students to the hospital and see them experience that and be able to talk to the ones who've had an experience that they think means that they shouldn't go into healthcare.
Right.
They see something and they're like, oh, Ms. Lyons, I thought I was into this, I just can't. And then I can sit down with them and I say, I'm an example. You don't have to do just bedside. There are so many options, so many experiences that you can have in healthcare and still contribute. I mean, even what you do, Mr. Barnhart, can work in healthcare.
Yes. But to go to your question about the gap between what's happening in industry and what we're teaching in high school.
Yeah.
So there is a set of standards that the state has developed. My job and Ms. Lyons' job is to come from the industry and go, okay, the standard says the student must be able to confidently undergo a job interview. So then it's on you, the teacher. You find a way to create a lesson that's going to make sure that student leaves the room in that lesson understanding it took me 2 weeks to teach job interview skills, 2 weeks. At the end, we had mock interviews.
Right.
And we're talking about situational questions. So yes, there is a gap. We have the great fortune to find a way to bridge it. That's why they're
Right.
pulling us from industry. How great it is that you're getting teachers from industry
Right.
and not having someone who's been teaching business for 30 years, because those people are very valuable, but
Right.
business 30 years ago is not what business is today.
True.
So we try to find ways to bridge the gap. Okay, the standard says you got to know how to design a magazine cover. I find a way to make that happen, and I tell you about client interaction, objections, how to take criticism from people when they don't like your work, and how to not take it personal. And to echo what Ms. Lyons was saying, what a great thing to be able to realize this is not for you and have no student debt with that decision.
Yeah.
You haven't gone to technical school or college and then realized you can't handle blood.
Right.
Or you don't possess the capacity to get into Photoshop and manipulate graphics. This is, I think Elon Musk said from SpaceX, you got to fail early. You have to fail quickly so you can learn and grow
Yeah.
Right.
quickly.
Yeah.
So
That's exactly
Yeah,
right.
So-
I was going to say, didn't Edison say, I didn't fail, I just know 1,000 ways not to make a light bulb?
exactly.
And I think that's
Well,
great
yeah.
because, again, that's a growth mindset
Yeah.
as opposed to a fixed mindset, which would say, I thought of a million ways to make a light bulb, but I don't want to try them because I don't want to fail.
Right, exactly. So, taking sort of the opposite perspective, because a lot of times that's exactly in these types of courses and in the way that you guys are actually working with businesses and giving them that background, we hear a lot of that. We have kids who they thought they were going to do this and got in there and went, oh, heck no,
Yeah.
I ain't doing that. How about the opposite? Have you found any students who they signed up for the class either just to sign up or because they were told to sign up or whatever, and it turned out that they found a passion they had no idea was there?
Yes, absolutely. I've had a number of students. Last year I had one who discovered an interest in pathology and was actually able to do job shadowing with the medical examiner for Lake County, which was an amazing experience for him. I've got a number of students who've actually even gone out with their certification while they're in high school and worked in the industry. And I would have to say that my one student that I would really talk about is one that the very first year really phoned in a lot of the anatomy and physiology and wasn't really connecting with the material, and I worked with him a lot, and in the end I made him my student of the month. And I just got back about a couple of months ago a thank you letter from him that that he had, because I made him student of the month, and he worked so hard that he really loved it. And he's in my third course now with a class, and he's planning on going into a healthcare field. So that's absolutely. And in our school, because we're so small, we're a very small school, our students are not able to choose as much as we would like them to be able to. We're not very integrated with the middle school. Like some schools, you already kind of have a pathway through something you're interested in from the very beginning. But for us, a lot of times we get filled in because they look at us as an elective. And so they'll add somebody into health science or into digital design who had never expressed an interest in either of those. And it's great to be able to reach those students too.
It is. Yes. The short answer to your question is yes.
I gave the long answer.
Great job.
Hey, you know what? That's right. We like the long answers. Those are the stories of the students that we impact.
A short story that I can share. I had a student start this year in Digital Design 1. He was going to be a mechanic. His father is a mechanic. His grandpa is a mechanic. He's in 10th grade and is a diesel mechanic. He can work on diesel engines. He goes out on the weekend and works with his dad. So he's in digital design. What am I going to do with this? That's the question. Why am I here for an hour a day? What can you do for me? And we deserve to get those questions and answer them. I love it when a student goes, why am I here? I want to defend why you're here. So I tell those students, no matter what you're in, if you are a diesel mechanic, if you are a farmer, we have a big agriculture industry where we are, citrus, you can use digital design to create graphics, coupons, schematics, whatever you need for that. And you'll also gain real life job interviewing skills, the soft skills. So this holiday season, he interviewed at a tree farm, a Christmas tree farm. And one of the interviewing skills that I taught them was at the end of the job interview, when there's that awkward silence where they go, do you have any questions for us? You should always have a question. And I'm going to tell you what the question is, the $1 million question. You should say, thank you for this job interview. I really appreciated our time. Based on our conversation today, do you see me moving forward in this process? That puts the person who's giving the interview on the spot. And they're going to tell you right then.
It's a view on the spot.
They're either going to hesitate and go, maybe we'll call, or they're going to go, yes, I do. I can't officially tell you that now. I've got to score the application, but look, I think we're going to go places. So he asked this interview question at the Christmas tree farm where he interviewed, and he actually got the job. And it wasn't based on anything else but that last question. And I have interviewed adults for industry who don't know to ask that question. You deserve it in yourself to know if you got the job. Or so yes, we see the success and the relevance in both the technical and soft skills.
I love to see students who joined in their first year with me in their junior year. And how many have you had? And I know I've had many who say, I'm not going to be able to finish the series. I'm not going to be able to get through this. So I've got one student this year who's taking 3 classes with me. She's taking Health Science 2, Allied Health, and Directed Study as well. Because they thought they were into something else through the first couple of years of high school, and then found that passion in their junior year, and now they're trying to catch up as though they hadn't missed anything.
And their brain is developing. When you come in at 9th or 10th grade and you think you want to be a comic book designer, and then your brain and you mature more and you realize what the power of graphics can do. I mean, my students are designing a whole portfolio of digital collateral for the Coca-Cola company. They gave us permission to use their graphics for the classroom challenge. They're designing soda machines, they're designing billboards, they're designing for other countries in different languages. And once they start maturing and realizing that, oh wow, this is real, I can do this. By the time they're in 11th grade and they start thinking, oh gosh, what am I going to do with my life?
I loved what you just said, Mr. Barnhart. You said that when you come in 9th grade, you are thinking one thing, or for many students, they might be thinking nothing. They may have no idea, especially in our community where not a lot of students go on to the post-secondary level at like UCF. And so they have no idea. And that kind of goes back to your question, what do I wish I had known? I had no idea. When I graduated from high school, I wanted to be an opera singer. I don't know what I wanted to be. And somebody should have asked me that question before freshman
Yeah.
year in college.
Yeah.
And I think that that's why CTE is so awesome for our students, because we ask that question from day one
Early
in
in the
ninth
game.
grade.
Yeah.
Start investigating. In ninth grade, we're looking into careers in the healthcare industry. Can you see yourself doing this? What kind of education do you need to become that? Can you see yourself going to school for this or that and taking that amount of time?
Right.
And so when I do my interviews, my students interview for a job that they find on Monster or on Glassdoor. And did I say that right, Glassdoor?
Yeah. So
Yes.
you don't
And
you don't
they look
require
for-
them to interview for a healthcare. You want them to
No,
interview
it's healthcare.
for-
It's healthcare.
Okay.
But it's whatever they're interested in. And so they then have to create their resume as though they've already qualified for that
Gotcha.
job. And so that makes them go through the process. Okay, so I graduated in 2018,
Right.
and then I went to UCF for 4 years. So then now it's 2022, and I graduated with my nursing degree. And now I went and I worked at Winnie Palmer for 2 years. So it's 2024. It starts making them kind of see their future,
Right,
which
right.
I think is such an amazing tool for them.
I mean, wouldn't you have liked the idea to sit in your high school classroom? I mean, and explore these options.
Exactly. And then they interview with me,
Maybe.
and then they get the
I think-
job.
well, I will tell you, for me, the problem I had was I was one of those, I have no idea what I want to do. By the same token, it was one of, I wanted to do lots of things. And I knew I couldn't, because I knew that I was going to have to pick, you kind of have to pick one thing.
Right.
Because ultimately, I mean, like it or not, in order for you to get any of those things, you're going to have to study and follow whatever track and whatever path leads you to one of those choices. But in high school, I changed my mind just about every year. Now, I will also tell you, I moved around every year of high school. So I went to one high school in ninth grade. I went to two different high schools in 10th grade. I went to another one in 11th grade and graduated from another one.
that's
It
hard.
was just the way the family was. So it was
Right.
kind of like, so I didn't know what I wanted to do. And then when I went to college, now I will say when I graduated and was going to college, I started out pre-med thinking that's what I wanted to do. Having no clue what was involved
Right.
in medical field, and really the stuff that killed me wasn't even medical field per se. It was a lot of the chemistry stuff that no one had stopped and said, okay, you're going to be pre-med. They did say these are the courses you're going to take, but they didn't explain what those were.
Right.
You're going to have to
They
take
just
organic
listed them
chemistry.
off.
Okay,
Okay.
whatever.
Sure, sign me up.
Sure.
And then you get in there and go, oh, heck no.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things where if the students are able to have choices and guidance.
I was going to say the same thing.
That's the
Choices
big
within
thing.
a somewhat narrow umbrella, and that's what, for my class, they have to find something in healthcare. But if they are thinking medical school, then they're looking at, okay, do I want radiology or pathology or
Right.
pediatrics or gerontology? I'm looking into these things, but maybe I'm going to do nursing. So what are the nursing options that might be for me? What are things that are in healthcare that have nothing to do with nursing or being a physician? And then if you're in Mr. Barnhart's class, what kind of interviewing do they do? Do they choose
So my
anything?
first year students take in the first week of school a interest and skills assessment. And I learned this year that many of them, 8 weeks before school started, they were 8th graders.
Right.
Now they're 9th graders. They're 14 years old. So they were born in 2001, 2002. Wow, right?
Yeah.
So I give them this inventory so they start looking at what they like. It's a pre-formatted Department of Education skills inventory. So then they realize, wow, I actually align with the agriculture industry or gaming and IT, or I want to be a pathologist.
Right.
So I actually this year jumped my standard. I kind of deviated. I'm supposed to teach them about careers in digital design, but I felt like my first year students needed to explore what they love first, and then explore careers in that, and then interview for a career in that, and then they can realize as they go through 10th and 11th, maybe I want to try something different. Incredible flexibility that we offer.